the Kids Safe WA Award.
The winner of the Kids Safe Award is Good Start Early Learning.
Child safety is a key focus for the 52 Good Start Early Learning Centres throughout Western Australia. Apart from providing safe play spaces, the organisation utilises its database of more than 5,000 WA families to promote safety information to the community on a range of issues, including water safety and the dangers of button batteries. The national provider of early education and care services recently partnered with KidSafe to produce an animated video educating children about the prevention of burns.
We're the largest provider of early education and care services across Australia. So with that size comes what we believe is a pretty important responsibility to advocate for child safety and improve outcomes for children. So that allows us to access over 70,000 children and 60,000 families. So it's a pretty important job that we think that we've got and that we're actually able to do to advocate for that positive change. Particular focuses over the last year for Good Start in Western Australia has been button batteries, water safety. We've also partnered with KidSafe on the burns animation with Dr. Fiona Woods. We've also at a national level worked with product suppliers to ensure that the safety of the products that they're actually producing do ultimately have child safety and child wellbeing interests at heart. We have amongst our strategic priorities safety being a paramount one. So this award to Good Start is a reflection of some of the terrific work we have done, but more importantly that we're going to continue to do to ensure that great outcomes for children are possible through safe early learning and care environments. The awards today were really inspiring. It was outstanding to read a lot of the bios of the nominees and the finalists. So I guess standing amongst peers that have a similar interest in great outcomes for children, families and communities is terrific. There's a real sense of collaboration and a spirit of really wanting to keep strengthening those partnerships for even better outcomes into the future.
And why are you passionate about what you do?
It's all about children for us and for me. So, it's such an important first 5 years in the life of children. So, so much of brain development happens in the first 3 to 5 years that can really establish great outcomes for children for life. So it's a pretty complex field and piece of work, but we think we can do it in a way that through play and through safe experiences that for the long-term benefit for children and families again and communities across WA and Australia, it's really important work. So that's what I love about it.
And what's next for you and your organisation?
Keep advancing what we're doing. We're 6 years young as an organisation, so a lot of the work that we've been doing and even events like today and awards like today are very much about continuing to put, I call them planks down, or build those foundations for us to really build upon and extend that reach to not just children and families that access a Good Start Early Learning Centre. It's actually a responsibility that we see that we champion and advocate for children and families all across Australia. So that'll be our next challenge, is continuing to share those good messages and information and advocate for children.
The finalists for the Ruby Hutchinson Award are Laura Gartrey, Christine Layton, Amy Bainbridge, Janae Maripodi, Nick Sass.
The winner of the Ruby Hutchinson Award is Amy Bainbridge from the ABC.
Amy Bainbridge is the ABC's National Consumer Affairs reporter based in Melbourne. In the past year, Amy has produced a number of stories for the network's TV, radio and digital platforms on issues which were of particular interest to WA consumers. She reported on the national campaign spearheaded by Consumer Protection in WA, warning of property spookers promoting rent-to-buy schemes. Other stories related to a WA consumer's complaint about poor internet services in regional areas, the pitfalls of extended warranties, as well as highlighting the plight of victims of financial fraud and seniors who live in residential parks.
You came all the way from Melbourne today for the awards. Can you tell us a bit about your work?
So I'm part of the national reporting team at the ABC. I'm based in Melbourne. We have team members right across Australia. My brief is the Consumer Affairs reporter, and I cover the whole of Australia. So lots of stories from WA, but lots of stories from all states and territories, depending on, the main issues that I'm pursuing.
And why are you passionate about consumer affairs?
I think it's one of those spaces where you really feel like you can make a difference by communicating issues to the broader public. And the feedback we get from our audience at the ABC is overwhelmingly positive, and we get thousands, tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of hits on stories on the ABC online website. So we know that it's what people want and the demand is there.
Can you tell us a little bit about the work that led you to winning the award today?
Yeah, it was a portfolio of stories that I submitted to Consumer Protection WA for the Ruby Hutchison Award. There are about probably half a dozen or so stories. They ranged from issues about the NBN, so broadband services in regional areas, issues about property spookers, scams generally, solar issues. There's just so many issues out there. So they sort of formed a portfolio of work that I submitted for this award.
What are some of the challenges you face when carrying out your work and reporting?
One of the hardest things is getting people to tell their stories, because to bring a consumer affairs issue to light, you really need to be able to interview somebody who's had it happen to them. And with ABC television, people can sometimes be a little shy to go on camera, but once they understand the power of getting their message out, often, not always, but often people will be willing to share their story. TV can, of course, be extremely daunting sometimes, and sometimes we might just do a story for radio and online if someone's not prepared to go on camera. But the power of television is a really good thing, and once people kind of know that it's not as bad as it seems and do an interview, often they can be really pleasantly surprised by the outcomes they can get by sharing their story.
And what's next for you in consumer affairs reporting?
Well, it's a huge year at the moment. There's so much action happening. There's a lot of court cases going on relating to some of the major car companies. There's a lot more to come on the National Broadband Network rollout. There's just so many issues. It's hard to keep up, actually, and you have to really pick and choose what stories you're going to pursue. The ABC will continue to cover consumer affairs passionately and give it the prominence it deserves.
How did you find the awards proceedings today?
Fantastic. So professional. The breakfast was wonderful, and the speeches were really great. It was really interesting to look more closely at the work that some of the advocacy groups are doing over here, and I've managed to catch up with most of them after the breakfast as well. It's such an invaluable tool for making contacts, finding out more stories that resonate with people, not just here in WA, but right across Australia.
Many individuals and organisations are involved in helping their communities understand and have better access to consumer protection in everyday situations. Work can take many forms, including championing the cause of vulnerable consumers, raising awareness of consumer rights, and even mediating in disputes. And what's next for the Consumer Protection Awards?
I think what we're looking to do is to make sure that they're promoted quite widely, and I guess to make sure that the people that we have an opportunity to recognise and reward will be nominated again next year, and we can do it all over again.